Happy Thursday, everybody. My name is 12 Gage. Welcome to my channel, 12 Gage Investigative. If you're new to the channel, thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of the show. Tonight I want to talk a little true crime and I want to talk about life. I want to talk about anything and everything that's under and over the rainbow, so to speak. The last time I was live, I had a very special guest, Ms. Jennifer Coffindaffer, retired FBI. But sometimes you have wonderful guests, and sometimes you have those guests that you're like, man, why did I book these people? Most of the time, those guests are those that want the 5 minutes of fame on YouTube or whatever. But all is cool. All is cool. Tonight, thought I'd get on here and I'd just jab a little bit. But I want to talk about some cases that I made some shorts on earlier today. And I want to share some of these because some of these are really, really pretty interesting. The first one comes out of Texas.
Open. Again, we're not sure what that may mean, whether we should read anything into that or not, but the Loomis truck is taped off. I was told when I arrived by one of the agents here that they are still waiting on more personnel to arrive, so we expect more agents, more police. There is no update on the health of the guard that was shot, nor if they are looking for a suspect. That's all information we're hoping to get here in the next few minutes. We've been told that a media staging area will be set up and that once the officer who is going to be giving the media briefing arrives, we will get some information or whatever information they have at the time. I can tell you right now also, it looks like there is a drone in the air. We're assuming that that's probably with law enforcement. But again, a lot of FBI.
Okay, that was from Balch Springs. If you don't know where that is right outside of Dallas. As far as I can tell, what they did is they went in and they ambushed a guy that was filling up these ATM machines. And as much as I could tell about this, what happened is they shot the guy and they stole the money. So I think another video came out today regarding seeing this person running down an alley or something. But this is quite interesting. It's here in the Dallas area.
Agents, the FBI Dallas Violent Crimes Task Force is out here, and right now they are just looking through this parking lot, and we're trying to observe as much as we can from the sidewalk, but we hope to have more information here in the next few minutes. Back to you.
Now, Chris, I know we have live images from Chopper 8 up above the scene there at that Chase Bank in Balch Springs, but I'm just curious, have you seen anyone there from the bank? I know our team here did reach out. They're forwarding all questions to Balch Springs PD and the investigative units that are there on the scene, but have you seen anyone from the bank? Anyone there?
I have not been able to tell who is.
He kind of turned around and was like, well, I don't see very many people here at all. Let me look and see. And switching gears, I want to go into the Nancy Guthrie update. I know there was a lot of conferences today, news conferences, but what I could tell, there wasn't a lot of up-to-date information, but I'll have to dig into that as well.
Swarming Nancy Guthrie's home in a renewed search for clues in the disappearance of Savannah's mom. The multi-agency team, including FBI agents, sheriff's deputies, and a Border Patrol canine unit, entering the property behind new yellow crime scene tape. It's the first time we've seen this type of activity since the 84-year-old went missing early this week. And overnight, Savannah and her siblings, Annie and Cameron, releasing that heart-wrenching video. Two people briefed on the investigation say the FBI special agent in charge was seen at a Guthrie family home where it's believed the video was recorded. NBC News is also aware of multiple reports of ransom notes sent to news organizations.
Well, one thing that I noticed that I saw earlier was that the ransom note was a hoax. And what they did was they arrested an individual on that. So one of the ransom notes was a hoax, and they arrested the guy. So that's where we are as far as that ransom note. The other one was not founded at all.
Law enforcement agency has substantiated them, but they are being investigated. NBC News has not seen the notes.
White female, 84 years of age, 5 medium build.
Now, 5 days after this police dispatch call that started the search for Savannah's mom, authorities are also looking into what appears to be blood found outside the home, according to two senior officials briefed on the investigation. Those officials also say Guthrie's pacemaker appears to have disconnected from its monitoring app in the early morning hours on Sunday, the day she was reported missing. President Trump reaching out to Savannah on the phone Wednesday and later posting, "I am directing all federal law enforcement to be at the family's and local law enforcement's complete disposal immediately. We are deploying all resources to get her mother home safely." In Tucson last night, a prayer service organized by some of Savannah's longtime friends, Shelly Shamrell and Savannah.
Hey, chat. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Walt. Nice to see you, buddy. You know, this case really baffles me. It really does. And I want to talk a little bit about it. Because what I've heard and what I've seen is so confusing to me, especially the sheriff that stands up there and gives the press conferences. That dude reminds me of Chief Fry. And I'm not talking bad about Chief Fry because, I mean, I'm sure he did the best he could with what he had, but a media PR person, he is not. You know, he stood up there and he was basically just reciting what we already know. There was blood on the front steps. There was no sign of forced entry, but yet the back door was open, the front door was not, as far as I heard. And also, you know, they said at the very beginning, 24 hours, and this woman would need medication that would sustain her life. Hey, Foxy, how you doing? You know, if I have elderly parents, okay, and I know what medication they're on, and I know how if they don't take certain medications, they're gonna have the potential to perish, right? But they're not at that point, as this 84-year-old woman obviously is. She was noted as not being very good health, not being having very good gait, and still the only suspect that we've heard about from other news agencies has been possibly the in-law. And I don't know where they got that from. What do y'all think about the suspect that they have potentially narrowed their thoughts on? Do you believe that the FBI is doing the best they can, or do you believe that they're way off base with this? Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think in the chat, in the comments if you watch this on replay. Let me go ahead and keep playing this.
Bonded 30 years ago while working at Tucson's local NBC station, and she says Nancy became like a second mom to her.
She is just the most loving, kind, warm, smart person who is so revered in this community.
A family, a community, and the entire nation now praying for Nancy Guthrie's safe return.
And as the search continues, investigators are still trying to figure out if they'll be able to recover any of the video footage from those overnight hours taken from Nancy Guthrie's surveillance camera.
As far as I know, Walt, I don't believe that they have anybody else. I don't believe anybody else has been named. I have seen catchy thumbnails to say, you know, FBI is narrowing their search on this person, you know what I mean? But as far as having any substantiated suspect in question, I haven't heard anything. You know what? Also, it's sad that, she was with the daughter and the son-in-law the night before at their place, or they were eating dinner, and then they dropped her off, and they didn't, she didn't show up to church the next morning. So that tells you, in between the time that they dropped her off and the next morning, when people noticed that she wasn't at church, because she was a loyal follower, obviously, and she had that set routine. And also, they noted that her pacemaker disconnected from the Bluetooth on her phone. So, all these things signify a timeline. They signify a timeline, and they let you know exactly, what they have and what they don't. So they're not really saying a lot that I heard. And we'll go over the press conference here in a minute.
Cameras. Google, which owns Nest Cameras, tells us that they are now assisting law enforcement in that investigation. And we do hope to get more information on all of this later today. The Pima County Sheriff's Office is expected to give another update.
Okay, I'm going to give you another case. This one bothered me. This one bothered me a little bit. We're going to get back to the Nancy Guthrie case, but this one bothered me. I don't know if y'all have seen this, but this bothered me a lot. And if you haven't heard of this case, you might go look at it. It's the Lion Bar in Illinois. An Illinois bar owner was shot execution style.
Out this murder while he was already out on bond for a recent criminal offense here in Indiana. Now, he waived his extra.
So here we have another individual that committed a crime in Indiana, was out on bond, and in the meantime went and committed a murder, execution style. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but let me know.
Tradition today, meaning he will face a judge in Illinois for this murder he is accused of, but not until he resolves this matter for the other criminal offense here in Indiana later this month. More details tonight into the criminal history of the 47-year-old man accused of shooting and killing a 30-year-old woman in Momence, Illinois. Court records show Julius Burks Jr. was arrested and charged for residential entry of his ex-girlfriend's home in Indiana in January. He was released on bond just weeks before, allegedly carrying out the murder of Courtney Drisdale on Monday morning.
How many times have we heard that MO? How many times have we heard that this person was out on bail, they had a substantial crime history, all this stuff, and then we hear of something like this? This woman owned this bar, so she was there for the night, counting the money, whatever they do at the end of the night. He comes in, demands money. She gives him money, and he still shoots her, execution style.
As she was opening up her bar. Burks was arrested outside his home in Hammond, Indiana on Tuesday after the Kankakee County Sheriff says an overwhelming amount of tips came in from the public. Today, neighbors on his block of Rhode Island Avenue say it's a shocking situation to witness.
It's crazy. You don't know who's around. Nobody knows anybody's history or nothing. It's crazy. Looking around here, seeing the SWAT come here yesterday.
Neighbors say Burks has lived there for about a year and a half now, and those who spoke to us off camera say he was often outside with his girlfriend's school-aged son. Meanwhile, the Momence community is still mourning the loss of Drisdale. Police say Burks allegedly robbed her at gunpoint at the Line Bar along Route 114, which Drisdale owned. Despite her cooperation with his demands at the time, investigators say Burks still fired 2 shots, killing the woman before he drove off from the scene.
Before leaving, the suspect attempted to remove what he believed to be a digital recording device from the wall. However, investigators have recovered video evidence.
Loved ones say they're just glad to see that Burks is behind bars now.
It feels like a really big relief, if I'm being honest, that someone is in custody to do justice for Courtney.
So if you don't watch those on a daily basis, I'd suggest that maybe you start checking out my page in the morning, because I try to do crimes that happen, that we all can talk about. Um, let's do this one, right? Well, I want something really reliable here. I don't know. I don't know about the ransom note. I really don't. Who really,
Talk to me about what you saw
who
yesterday.
really in 2026 would write a ransom note? Tell me that. Tell me that. Is that still a thing? Would that be realistic or would it not? Let's see what Megan Kelly and Brian Enton have to say.
Because you've been on scene. You're the one, the audience probably knows, but you're the one who found the blood, the droplets of blood still left outside of the front door, the one of the news media. Obviously, we believe the cops had.
So he was one that found the blood. How did the how did the cops not find the blood? Another person in an investigation going on that happened to stumble on some clues. How the hell does this happen? If the crime scene is secured, if the yellow tape is around, and you don't let reporters get that close to the house, how the hell was he able to see that? Just like the guy that found the glove by the trash can in Idaho.
This, but they turned the house back over to the family and they left it unguarded. And you went on the doorstep like a good old fashioned shoe leather reporter and found the actual evidence, which was shocking to see. And then, Brian, they reassumed custody of the house yesterday.
Yeah, that was kind of shocking. I was just out there, I'd been out there for like 36 hours just waiting to see if anything happens. And the Guthries had hired private security to come out and just sit in the driveway. So we were used to seeing them. But then all of a sudden around 4:30.
Private security that obviously didn't do their job. Obviously didn't do their job. Once again, just like Idaho, you had security in the house, right? But there was people going around back, pissing on the concrete all over, this and that and the other. You know what I mean? People just do not do their job these days. I don't get it.
All of these deputies drive down the street in unmarked pickup trucks and in like in a big evidence van, and then they all got out of. There were others that got out of a minivan, and at first I thought they were FBI, but I do think they were local sheriff's deputies. They were in just plain clothing, and all of a sudden I got this video. They start putting the crime scene tape back up. And they all got out of the car and we put our drone up right away because it's hard to really see what's going on because it's the house is kind of set back and there's all the cactuses. And we could see that they were searching the area around the house, but then also they were going in and out of the garage with evidence bags, bringing things out. And it looked like we were trying to see through the windows. There was one room in the front of the house that they were definitely.
You know what case brings to mind is the Gene Wilder case. When they walked into that home, they didn't secure it. They didn't secure it until hours and hours and hours later when they identified that it was indeed a murder or, a death, suicide, whatever it was, an unattended death. Then they started cordoning off the place. In an investigation, once the police go into a home and they sweep the home, they're supposed to secure the premises until they find a directive to go, until the lab, the forensic, all those people come in, and they didn't do this, obviously, or they did, and then they left and then took everything down, and the reporters were allowed to go back and find some blood on the freaking porch.
In the entire time, and they were there. Yeah, there's our shot of the.
This is your video, by the way, as you're speaking, we're showing of the garage.
Yeah.
You got this with your drone. Keep going.
That's the garage, yeah. And so I think they knew what they were after because.
You know what? He finds that blood in the garage or wherever the hell he found it. Let me tell you something. That's not usable for anything because it wasn't found by the people that were securing the residence. He found it. So in essence, if he was around it, anywhere near close to it, he contaminated it. So just contaminating the crime scene by walking up to the place, anything they found after the fact is unusable in court.
It all seemed just so coordinated because they put the tape up. They were there for just 2 hours. Then they all packed up very quickly. They took the tape down and they were gone.
And what happened in the back of the property? Same, like more searching back there? Because as you know, our mutual friend, Ashley Banfield, is reporting that a law enforcement source told her a bunch of things, including that the back door was wide open when law enforcement showed up, and that the Ring camera, it was a Nest camera, had been destroyed, both the one in the front and the one in the back. So there is some question about whether the intruder may have used the back door and what happened back there, because they were behind the house yesterday. No,
they were behind the house, and they also had a canine that they had out there, sniffing around and going around the house. But it seemed like they were more focused inside the house. I mean, at first they did a search around the house, which you can see here. They went out into the brush.
Well, honestly, if you're searching around, and I'm not a search and rescue type person, I'm really not. So let me ask you a question. If you're searching for clues around the premises, you're looking for footsteps or footprints, you're looking for any kind of evidence that may suggest whether the person was drugged, whether, drug in the ground, whether they were carried, whether they were wheeled off in a wheelchair, whatever, you're going to be looking for all this evidence. And there's a lot of area to look at. So let's not get this twisted, all right? Because when they were responding to a missing person, somebody that they hadn't heard from. And then it wasn't until later on that they turned it into a potential, I won't say homicide, but they upgraded it from missing person to something else, right? So that's interesting. That's an interesting question. Is Bitcoin untraceable? I don't believe so.
But then it seemed like most of the time, then they all went into the house.
What was the grid search you reported on yesterday?
So I was going back and forth between Nancy's house and Annie's house, which is about 10 minutes away, just trying to kind of keep an eye on both places. And when I was driving back to Nancy's house in her neighborhood, there was another search happening with about half a dozen deputies where they were, lined up doing a grid search in a field near her house. So I don't know if they got
the way you do, like, forgive me, to find like a dead body potentially,
right,
like where you're sort of shoulder to shoulder walking together.
Correct. Or like a little piece of evidence. That way they don't miss anything. They all line up. So they were doing that. And then the night before, right before the sunset, there was this helicopter that came out, a sheriff's office helicopter that did a pass over the house. So at first I thought like, oh, maybe they were just coming to check on things. But then they were there for an hour, hovering very, very low with two deputies peering out the helicopter, looking down and just circling the house. So I think that,
I mean, the way this is reported, I'm not saying anything mean about Brian Enton. I'm not saying anything mean about whatever her name, Megan Kelly. But when people report on things like this, the way he's speaking, it makes it more dramatized than actually anything that he's saying. He hasn't mentioned any pieces of substantial evidence that they have. He hasn't brought up the fact that, oh, I found the blood, but they didn't say anything about the blood, whether it was potentially the victim's blood, whether it was already there from, an animal. I mean, but you know what? It makes you hang on to the story, which I understand that. That's how they get paid. They get paid to get people to, grip onto these things. But I don't want you to do the same thing you did in Idaho. I don't want you to focus so much on what he's saying, the blood that he found, the The lack of evidence. They took the crime tape down. They put it back up. That sounds like they don't know what they're doing. I'm not saying that, but does that not, the way he described that, does that not sound like the police, once again, do not know what they're doing? So it gives people out here in YouTube land the capability to run with various stories, because if the cops are incompetent, then we can say anything we want about them, and we won't be wrong, because look at what they're doing, right? Tell me what you think, chat.
They're probably getting different tips coming in that they have to run out on and check on. Maybe they heard there was something in the field yesterday, and that's why they were there. But they've definitely been very active.
We have this online video of Nancy Guthrie's house and the property around it, and it really does show the backyard. It's not that big. You can see there's brush. Can we put it on the screen, please? There's brush in the back of the house, but it's not like huge. This is just from Google Maps. So it's like it wouldn't take that long to search that, Brian. In other words, like it's very manageable to make sure.
Well, let's stop this for a minute. This is an interesting thing she's saying. What is the vantage point? If you're going to abduct somebody, and I'm asking anybody who's watching this in the future, if you're watching it now, if you're going to abduct somebody, what is the vantage point? I believe that which one of these houses is hers? Is it this one? But regardless, there's a home there, there's a home there, there's a home here. What would be the vantage point of abducting somebody and nobody seeing anything? You get what I'm saying? What is the vantage point? Where would you abduct somebody in that scenario? How would you abduct them? Would it have to be done at night? Because supposedly the video cameras or whatever she had at the home was destroyed. So when was this done? Have they given us that? I haven't heard. Have they given us when supposedly this was done? Was it done in the middle of the night? Was it done in the early morning? Was it done during the day? Have y'all heard anything?
God forbid she's not back there, or a weapon wouldn't be back there. It's not a ton to search. Am I wrong?
No, you're not wrong at all. And that area, like I said, it's wooded with cactuses, but it's also kind of open. Like it wouldn't be terribly difficult to search. And they did a search the first day too. They had Border Patrol out here. They had the Border Patrol dogs. So it seems like they've been pretty thorough in terms of searching.
Okay, so this is her house right here, obviously with the little pointer. So vantage point. Here's a road in front of her house that probably leads to a longer road on the way out. There's not a lot of shrubbery back here, so you'd be able to see if somebody was drugged through that. If you used like a wagon, I mean, I'm not talking about a little red wagon. I'm talking about, something big enough to put somebody in that couldn't walk very well, and you were, having them go against their will. I mean, because if she couldn't walk very fast, because she was elderly, right? She had health problems. And I'm not trying to talk about her in the past tense, but if she had these things, going back here and abducting her and then going somewhere else back here doesn't seem likely. It seems like she would have went out the front door. I don't know. What do y'all think? Delta said it was very dark at night. I think it's more likely than not someone that has been to the house before. What, the likely that she wandered out the front door? Did she hurt herself? Wandered off? I mean, I heard she didn't have any memory problems. Maybe a wheelbarrow? I mean, you just never know, because if she can't walk well, How are you going to get her out of that residence and into a vehicle as quickly as you need to? Because, and once again, the only vantage point that I have to go on is my elderly mother. God bless her. She walks really slow because she can't go that fast. She's had double knee surgery, so she doesn't walk very fast. I've been told that Nancy had issues with her gait and she had health problems, right? But her memory was clear. So she wouldn't have just wandered off. But how would she have gotten out of that area so quickly?
Land around the house.
Mm-hmm. So now what happened at Annie Guthrie's house, where, by the way, she lives there with her husband, Tommaso, right?
Yeah.
And is Savannah staying with them?
She is. It's my understanding she is staying there. We haven't seen her come out, but we heard she was there, and it makes perfect sense because when I saw them go in with the ring light and the tripod, and then they recorded the video, I presume inside that house with Savannah. So I'm 99% sure she's there. And
Can you describe the house for us? Like what kind of house is it?
yeah, it's kind of a ranch style. I think they bought it a couple years ago for $650,000. It's a nice house. The neighborhood is similar to Nancy's neighborhood, where the houses all sit on maybe like an acre of land or a couple of acres. It's not right in town. It's out also in the foothills. And it's just kind
And
of,
what do they do for a living?
it's kind of like a normal
Annie
house.
and her husband.
So the obvious question that I'm asking, did Nancy scream? Did Nancy scream? Did she get confused? Did she forget to take her medicine that day and got confused? Did somebody pick her up? Maybe she's not in danger. Maybe she just incoherent.
Annie is a poet. Like, I don't know that they have, I mean, I hate to say it this way, but I don't know they have like real jobs. Annie's a poet. And Tomas is like in a band and I think was a teacher. I was looking through records yesterday. I know he either worked or still works at a charter school. And so they have like normal cars. I think she has a Camry and then there's an SUV. And so I saw Tomas and Annie together leaving the house the day before yesterday. So that would have been Tuesday. I didn't see Tomas at all yesterday. And none of my like friends or colleagues that were out there keeping an eye on the house saw him either. But we did see Annie outside the house yesterday and we saw Savannah's brother there. They were coming and going.
I wonder, I mean, here's the question that I have. My mom has a pacemaker. I wonder if it's connected to your phone, it keeps working, right? Without the phone, Bluetooth, I mean, that's not what's keeping it going. And I know that sounds idiotic for me to say, but I mean, if it disconnected from it, would somebody have known that she had a pacemaker? Would somebody have known that it disconnected from that phone and she wouldn't be able to be tracked?
And the FBI was there the day before yesterday. And then yesterday, the only agents that I saw were those ICAC agents that were going in presumably to help make the video.
Yeah. Ashley's reporting that the authorities seized Annie's car the day before yesterday. Did you see two cars on property, or do you have any reason to, believe or disbelieve that particular piece of her reporting?
Yeah, I don't have any reason to disbelieve it, but I don't know that I saw one car outside and there could be a car in the garage. No one got any video of a car being towed, which I think is kind of interesting just because there's,
I mean, that's what's odd to me is all these people have inside sources, right? My inside source told me this. My inside source told me that. Same as with Idaho. You know who their inside sources are? People that have podcasts. You know what I mean? And it's like, how is that your inside source? Who are they talking to that they know that is feeding them this information? Because, you're really not supposed to be leaking certain things, right? especially in an active investigation. So, I don't know.
How it is at these things, there's like always some camera outside. There's like these paparazzis that show up and freelance people who stay there all night. So I'm kind of surprised we never saw any video. I mean, that would be kind of a big deal for the car to be towed, you know?
That's a good point. Well, we don't know whether it's true. Even Ashley doesn't know that it's true. She was told by one single senior law enforcement source that it was, and no one else has been able to match the reporting on that or the other piece about Annie's
I
husband.
mean, that kind of sounds a little snarky when we're mentioning somebody who used to be on a news network and now that person is not. You know what I mean? You're like, what the heck? You know, what the heck is going on? I don't know.
Tomas, which also remains unconfirmed, but we don't know what's happening there. No reporting, right, at this point about any suspects or persons of interest.
Right. That's right.
Other than Ashley's.
Right. That's the only reporting I've heard. The latest from the.
So nobody really knows what happened to this lady. Not that I've heard, not anything that is verifiable, nothing that was said today, other than, pleading with the captors, if you have her, please let her go. I mean, that doesn't sound very promising to me. I don't know. It just seemed that somebody was home and then they're gone. Instantly, people's minds start to wonder, was it cartel? Was it illegals? Did somebody break into the home and harm her and then take her body out into the woods, or not wood, the brush, and do something with it? But obviously they're searching it. The FBI is involved. The best of the best. The drones are there. Good question. Who would gain from her loss? Her daughter's famous. She's not, that I know of. I mean, and if she has a little bit of retirement or whatever she might have as far as monetary value, I'm sure she's not a millionaire. We would have heard such. I haven't heard of anything taken out of that house. They just found some very particular things in the home that they're not saying that led them to believe that she was taken against her will. I mean, if you came into my room or my house the way I've been living lately, you would think it was taken against his will. Because the bed's not made, I'm always in a rush to do stuff. You just never know. But let's move on, because that case is one of those that's blowing up the airwaves right now. And I don't know enough about it to sit here and talk 3 hours on it. All I know, it just sounds very incompetent of the police. Hopefully they get a better PR person. Hopefully that beat cop doesn't get to speak for the precinct anymore, because he's not very good at it. If you don't have the answers, don't have a press conference. It reminds me so much of that other case. It's pathetic. And that's why people think so badly of law enforcement, because you get these individuals that don't have anything to really share, and they get behind that mic and they're just like repeating the same stuff with all these holes in there, and there's nothing to fill these holes but speculation. There's so many things, but she's 84 years old. She's 84 years old. Good point, Walt. Good point. I mean, just like a unconscious person, right? it is an unconscious person until after the fact you realize, oh shit, we got a quadruple murder in this house. We better conduct this a little different. And this is probably the same thing. Probably the same damn thing. You rode out there because Nancy didn't go to church. She never misses service. She's always there. And today she's not there. Let's do a wellness check on Nancy. The police arrive. They don't find her. And there you have it. There you have it. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We're actually like 6 people away from 10,000 subs. Hopefully I can get that by March. That's my goal timeline. Organ harvesting, I don't know. I don't know how real that would be. An 84-year-old person, unless she's in perfect health and they knew about this. I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of strange stuff that happens along the border. You just don't ever know. I mean, you can't discount anything these days. Things that you used to could be able to say, nah, that won't happen here. But my question is this. How safe do the other neighbors feel at this point? Knowing that the police don't have any leads, they don't have any camera footage, they don't have anything that could identify the littlest of suspects. You get what I'm saying? How secure would you feel in your home if you were elderly? Would you feel secure? I don't think I would feel secure. I don't know. Tell me what y'all think, chat. Would you feel secure? Yeah. Ever heard of a chef who can't cook? Never trust a skinny cook. That's what I've heard. You know, there's a lot of cases, kind of like the one I did in those shorts. 47-year-old man shoots a woman execution style, even after she's willing to give the money. You know, still kills her. This one right here. You know, they say when somebody's missing, the first 48 hours is the most crucial. And then obviously you're interviewing and, you know, you're interviewing the people closest to her. Who would have had the motive to harm this 84-year-old woman? Who would have been culpable to harm this woman? Take her from her home, her medication, her family, the ones that care about her, her congregation, all these people that care about her. Who would have had the motive? And what would have been the payoff? That's what you have to ask yourself. Because unlike these other cases that we've covered in the past where we go instantly into that doesn't make sense or this doesn't make sense, well, you know what? It's not about making sense. Because unless you have all the pieces, it's not ever going to make sense to you. So whenever somebody's telling you it doesn't make sense and you don't have all the pieces, that's an oxymoron. Of course it doesn't make sense. Who would have had the ability to pull this crime off? There's another question for you. Who, what, where, when, and how? Those are the 5 questions you should be asking yourself. There never should be the why question. You don't ask why because none of us know why. You know what I mean? But do we know she had money? Do we know she's wealthy? I know her daughter's on the Today Show. She could have a little bit of cash, but maybe that's why they were talking about the ransom notes. But nothing has been released definitive to give us any kind of lead on which way to look or think. Because when you ask why, you're never going to be okay with the answer that's given to you. So you just keep asking why. At one point, you have to ask what, who, when, how, and where. You get what I'm saying? Because when you're asking why did you wake up this morning? Why did you drink coffee first thing? Why did you go to work? Why did you marry the person you married? Why do you hate Donald Trump? You get what I'm saying? Nobody can really answer those questions. They can give you an assumption of the why question, but never really the answer that's going to satisfy the person asking. Timing is very important. And you're right on that. Very smart. Very smart. Timing is everything. In everything we do, timing is very important. Um, this isn't a mystery that is going to go on for 3 years. This one's going to end eventually. We're either going to find her alive, we're going to find her deceased, we're going to find trait that she's in another country. What were her patterns? What was her daily routine? All elderly people have a daily pattern. Surely her daughter knew it, or her other daughter knew it. Her son-in-law knew it. Her neighbors. Who was the last person she talked to? What was the last phone call made on her phone? What would have been the motive to destroy the cameras? Think about that. Yeah, we still haven't even heard. They still haven't found him, Walt. People quit talking about him because they'll never know the answer. But let me ask you that question. What would have been the reason to destroy the video footage? Even if you were caught on video, chances are you were covered from head to toe, dressed in black like all criminals do. And it would have showed you taking this woman out of the house. Unless they went in there without covering themselves and it happened quickly. It was something, an argument, disagreement, or just shaking somebody down. I don't know. But those are some of the questions that I have. Because I know that if someone I know goes missing, I'm not going to be asking why. I haven't heard that, Delta. I haven't heard that. You're right. When she went from the daughter's house to her house. Did she have a housekeeper? Did a random person stop by looking, asking for help? Did she open her door? Got knocked over the head? I mean, but if there was nothing taken from the house, what would have been the reason? Take her from her home. I could have seen if she was 22 years old, you abduct her, take her somewhere else, sexually assault her, kill her, whatever you're going to do. But 84 years old, y'all. 84. Not saying that that still couldn't happen, but I'm saying the odds lower the older you get. That that's the reason. Money increases the probability of people being abducted at that age. I don't know. They could have parachuted in. They could have, I don't know, any of that stuff. The owl could have been a lookout, started hooting when the coast was clear, you know, sitting in the cactus. Ooh, ooh. To let whoever did it know that the coast was clear. It was Saturday night, so Saturday night was a full moon. So it was nice and bright. You get what I'm saying? I don't have anything else to really talk about, you guys. Still have a long day tomorrow. Hopefully I'll get on this weekend. You know? Hopefully I get on this weekend. We can talk some more. But there was a full moon this weekend, and you don't need a lot of light when the moon is bright enough to illuminate everything. I hope they find her too. I hope she's not hurt. I hope she's not dehydrated or, you know, hope she wasn't attacked by an animal. I mean, because you just never know. She could have went to throw in the trash, got attacked by an animal, and carried off. I don't know. You know? But I just wanted to get on a little bit. I do have a Facebook channel or a Facebook page that I started. If you do have Facebook, one of the perks of being on my channel is you can go and add my Facebook page to your true crime list and enjoy the post that I put there, because it's totally different than the crime channel that I run here. Okay. She took an Uber to her daughter's, but family took her home. So family was the last person to see her. That's what makes that so suspicious. Her DNA would be in their car. You know? Obviously, her family DNA would be at her home. So it's difficult. That camera footage, they got to get in there and find that footage. I don't know. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. If you watch this on replay, hope you enjoy it. We'll talk about life this weekend. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm on call, so hopefully I don't have to get called out tonight. Y'all have a wonderful night. Maestro, cue that music. One more thing. Let's try to get me to 10,000, shall we?